Welcome to Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm Grace, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction book to see if they're a five or a flop.
The theme for season 2 is Booktok and Bestsellers, and this week I am so excited for what we're reading. Can you tell us what it is?
It is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah.
Okay, so before we even get into anything else, I want to talk about why we picked The Four Winds and not her blatantly most popular book, The Nightingale.
Yes, I'm sure you all are sitting at home thinking, why didn't we read The Nightingale? And it is not because we just picked one, Kristin Hannah, randomly. We thought about it very hard.
We hinted at this last week, which is why we picked Half of a Yellow Sun. We didn't want to have too many country repeats. We also didn't want to have too many time period repeats. And when we first made our list for season 2, I think over half of it was World War II books.
Yeah, just like picking off the top of our head, like, oh, we could read this. Oh, we could read this. It is so easy. If you put every historical fiction book in the world in like a big hat, and you picked out 15 at random for the season, probably 10 of them would be World War II.
Yeah, and this is something we also talked about when we talked about All the Light We Cannot See. It is a very oversaturated market for World War II.
Yes, and we have one other World War II book coming later in this season.
Yes.
Which is, it's slightly different perspective from All the Light We Cannot See, but we just thought, given that all of Kristin Hannah's books are pretty popular,
yes,
that there is room to pick one of her other ones. Mm-hmm. So we decided to focus on The Four Winds instead, which, in case you don't know, is about the Dust Bowl and the migrant workers that fled the Dust Bowl.
So before we give you any more about the book, what's going on with you this week?
Now that I'm fully in my, back to my normal grind, I've unpacked all my stuff, I'm doing my work from home, I am way in my Gossip Girl rewatch era.
Okay, good.
What Desperate Housewives is to you right now. And I think when I started it, Gossip Girl is actually pretty good at being good the whole time. Like how we say Glee has 6 seasons, but only 3 of them are good.
Yeah.
And even good is relative. I think Glee is very good.
I love Glee.
I think Gossip Girl stays pretty good up until the end. And in fact, I think the middle is the best part. I was watching season 3, I dropped off after season 2, came back to it a little while later, and then I was like, oh, this is just iconic after iconic after iconic episode.
Just like Desperate Housewives.
Yeah. I'm getting up to the part where, and also you had time to watch this, so I don't care if I'm spoiling for you, Blair's about to marry the prince, and I just know, I remember these two things equally. One, that they're going to have to do a crazy breakout to get her out of having to marry the prince. And also that she has such insane split ends in that whole episode. I remember it so distinctly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm eating it up. You may have remembered last week, I dropped a little reference to my girl, Serena Vanderwoodson.
Love.
It's because I'm watching Gossip Girl.
On the topic of Gossip Girl, but mostly on the topic of Desperate Housewives, can I share a funny story?
You may.
So we are now in season 7 and season 8, which is where they introduce she's not a housewife, she's divorced, but a new member of Wisteria Lane, Renee. And Renee is played by the actress.
Renee is such a Desperate Housewife name.
Renee is played by the actress who plays Wilhelmina in Ugly Betty.
Oh, okay.
Which I also love Ugly Betty. And the funniest thing happened because I was talking to Santiago, who doesn't have the same references to American pop culture TV as I do.
No.
So I go, oh my God, she was in Ugly Betty. And he looks at me and he goes, how do you know about that show? And it turns out that the American Ugly Betty was based off an incredibly popular, successful Colombian telenovela from the 90s.
Not
so
surprised.
He was talking about that one. And he had no idea there was an American version. I had no idea there was a Colombian version. But anyways, that's the show we're going to watch next, the Colombian version.
That happens all the time. I feel like this is slightly adjacent, but I think still related. You know how people all the time talk about, when they're talking about The Office, they're like, oh, the UK Office was so much better. Because there was a British version and then America was like, thank you, and then made their own.
Which I think is so funny.
Yeah. The Office UK only ran for 1 season.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the Ugly Betty Columbia version was also 1 season, but it was 380 episodes, I believe.
That's fine.
Because they do seasons very differently.
It was a relatively normal length 1 season.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay, you guys cannot be writing that hard for that show then.
Yeah.
I was
I tried to watch it. I'm like, this isn't fun. I mean, The Office isn't funny, but...
Wow, that's a really piping hot take. That is the equivalent of me saying I don't like dogs. I feel like you saying The Office isn't funny.
I mean, The Office was funny when I watched it in middle school.
The millennials are really going to come after you. That's all I'm
Let
saying.
them.
Anyway, what is up with you while I've been watching TV?
So, as many of you know, because most of the listeners of this is our friend group, I got promoted, and as of when we're recording this, it was fairly recent, but as of when this is going to be published, it will have been a month and a half ago.
Woo!
But yes, I am now Associate Manager of Communications. So aside from just doing social, I also do our internal newsletter, which is super fun, but also a little stressful because we sometimes record our podcasts on Wednesdays and it usually goes out on Wednesdays. So sometimes I'm now working late trying to cram that in before we record or during recording.
As you can tell, today is Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday.
But I think this is our first Wednesday post-promotion.
Yes, this is our first Wednesday post-promotion.
I think we've learned our lesson.
We have learned our lesson. We will no longer be recording on Wednesdays.
Yes, because Erin is too busy being a girl boss.
Being a girl boss, making money moves, it's what happens.
And also, sometimes when you're not busy making money moves, you're reading non-pod books.
What a segue.
So what are you reading?
And you know what non-pod books I've been reading? More fucking Kristin Hannah.
Listen, the day that I repeat read a pod author is going to be crazy because I haven't done it yet. You do it like it's your second job.
Kristin Hannah, Maggie O'Farrell, Lisa C. Love them. It's because they're all so good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't, and I should, in fact, because we read a lot of crazy good books.
I actually read The Nightingale a bit ago, recommended it to my mom who also loved it. Shout out to my mom who also liked The Four Winds.
Mm-hmm.
And then I most recently finished on audiobook again, The Great Alone, which is the sad Alaska one. And I basically binge listened to most of it on my flights to San Antonio for work. And it was so good. Like the flight attendants were just watching me sob. And I was like trying to make it very clear I had an audiobook open and I wasn't just having a breakdown on this flight. Oh my god, I loved it. Highly recommend all Kristin Hannah. So if you can see where this review is going for me, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, also, if you're a listener who loved The Nightingale and you were a little disappointed that we're not going to talk about it, there's a little bit of a quick review for you.
Yes.
Is that Erin loved
Fabulous.
The Nightingale.
Loved it. I think you should read it, Grace.
Okay.
I think you will like it slightly less than me, but I think you will like it.
Okay. I'll put it on the list. And listen, I'm not going to try and bury the lead and make this like a fake tense moment for you while we talk about the summary and the Kristin Hannah bio. Like, I also like The Four Winds.
Yes.
So we're not gonna get the boxing gloves back out.
This isn't a last week situation. Yeah. But what are you reading?
I had a rom-com come out last week that I was very excited to get, and I was just gonna buy like the ebook. But luckily for me, I have a Book of the Month subscription going right now.
Fabulous.
Yes, as a Christmas gift. So thank you, Aunt Karen and Uncle Gail, for my Book of the Month subscription. And it came up there, so I nabbed it, and it was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. If you are an Emily Henry reader, which I know that you're not, Erin, yes, but you still might like her anyway. But if you are an Emily Henry reader, I really recommend Abby Jimenez. I think her books are really, really good.
I feel like, have we not talked about her on the pod before? Didn't you not like a book by her?
Yes. I had a devastating moment earlier this year when I picked up a book by her, and it was her debut, and it turned out that it sucked.
Okay, yeah, I do remember discussing that with you.
Yes. So actually, I was a little nervous for this new release because I was worried it was going to be bad. Didn't have to worry about it. It blew my socks off. But the thing that got to me is, I don't want to spoil too much, although I really doubt that with the listenership it's a problem. But essentially, I'll say I was under the impression that this was a standalone book. And then towards the end, you find out in a twist that one of the characters has a sibling she didn't know about. Mm-hmm. And it was someone from one of her previous books. And that absolutely blew my mind. Yeah.
Oh, so I like that. That's kind of giving like Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Yeah, a little bit.
Crossovers.
So anyway.
Sorry, I'm also on the Book of the Month Club website right now because I'm like, should I do this?
Well, also, you found out the other week that you could pick your books. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that.
Book. Yeah, no, there are like 5 choices to choose from, and almost always 1 or 2 of them is a thriller.
I love thrillers.
But they really, honestly, they do kind of...
They have a lot of variety, just looking at the April ones.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they do really cater to like your type of reader, because I think a lot of people on Booktok aren't fans of Book of the Month, because they do very little fantasy. They don't really do a lot of – they do some lit fic, but not that much. But I feel like they really cater to people who read thrillers and historical fiction and romance like a little bit more now. Mm-hmm. But really thrillers and historical fiction. So honestly, probably banger for you.
Okay, I should look into that.
Yeah. Honestly, just keep an eye on it for the next like couple of months and see what the monthly books are. Yeah. If you don't like a month, you can skip it.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. So I have a preset 3 months, and I've used 2 of them now. Actually, I used my second one on this Abby Jimenez book, but my first one I used on Kristin Hannah's new book, The Women.
That's a hot pick to be on there.
Yeah. They have some hot stuff on there, but that's set in Vietnam. I haven't read it yet, but I do own it. So I will eventually repeat a pod author.
As will I when I borrow it.
Yeah. And I will report back when we have read it, we will report back.
So, enough about our other books, mainly our other Kristin Hannah books. Let's get into the synopsis.
Another long one. We've broken the pattern that we had from last week.
I know. The 1 week pattern. Texas, 1921, a time of abundance. The Great War is over, the bounty of land is plentiful, and America is on the brink of a new and optimistic era. But Elsa Wolcott, deemed too old to marry in a time when marriage is a woman's only option, the future seems bleak. Until the night she meets Rafe Martinelli, like the apple juice, and decides to change the direction of her life.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to say that I also was thinking about the apple juice a lot.
God, it made me want apple juice so bad the entire book. Anyways, with her reputation in ruin, there's only one respectable choice. Marriage to a man she barely knows. Wow, I had no idea this was on the synopsis.
Yeah, well, because you don't read them, Erin.
But even when I was building the script for us. Anyways, by 1934, the world has changed. Millions are out of work and drought has devastated the Great Plains. Farmers are fighting to keep their land and their livelihoods as crops fail and water dries up and the earth cracks open. Dust storms roll relentlessly across the plains. Everything on the Martinelli farm is dying, including Elsa's tenuous marriage. Every day is a desperate battle against nature and a fight to keep her children alive. In this uncertain and perilous time, Elsa, like so many of her neighbors, must make an agonizing choice. Fight for the land she loves or leave it behind and go west, to California, in search of a better life for her family. So that is very thorough, except I will say more of the book takes place in California than it makes it sound.
Yes, maybe 2/3?
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting into the author, Kristin Hannah is super well known, and her books have really, really blown up recently, I think more than any other historical fiction author I can think of in recent years.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest current one might be Kristin Hannah. I think she's maybe not overall the most famous that we're doing this season. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and really think about that. I think the most poppin' currently.
I was so scared The Nightingale was going to be overhyped because of the number of times it was recommended to me. But it was amazing. The Nightingale was the 2015 Goodreads Best Historical Fiction and People's Choice Awards for Best Fiction. So currently that's in production starring the Fanning sisters.
Oh.
I'm not sure how that's going, when that's going. I think it'll eventually be made into a movie because it is so popular.
Yeah, and also in production seems promising to me.
And it would also appeal to so many different audiences beyond who would just read it as a book.
Yeah, I agree.
The Great Alone has been optioned, and Firefly Lane was the #1 Netflix series. I didn't know that was a Netflix series, and I really don't know what that one's about. I don't think that one's historical fiction, though.
Well, yeah, Kristin Hannah, I feel like, also has a subset of books that are just contemporary fiction.
I said this to you literally right before we started recording. She must have so much knowledge in her brain because so many of her books are across so many different, like, contemporary fiction, historical fiction, but never the same historical period, like, all around the world.
She just likes to start over.
I wonder if, like, she just consumes so much knowledge and then it's gone. I bet if you asked her about Texas Now, do you think she would know?
Probably.
Or
she
so
seems
you
like
think
a smart lady.
She contains it. I feel like I would have to just like purge it.
Yeah.
But she writes across a lot. She is obviously a very intelligent woman.
Yeah. Well, and we've already kind of discussed, you've read some of her other books, and my first encounter with her was The Four Winds, was this.
This was my first book from her, but I liked it so much that I read others.
And that you've read that many in the span of time since you read The Four Winds, like, it has not been that long.
I love being a pod author repeater.
So that really just goes to show, yeah, like, you really have...
Just kind of stuff I've lucked out with, too, because there's always a million holds on everything Kristin Hannah. I happened to find The Nightingale, like, misshelved in the library, so I checked it out, which lets you skip the hold list, so thank you, DC Public Library.
Woo.
And then The Great Alone, like, happened to be immediately ready on Libby.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of lucked out.
Today, I'm, like, kind of nervously recording because, as Erin has said before, I always bring a copy of the book with me, but I was not able to have a copy of The Four Winds.
I could have brought one.
Oh, I should have asked.
I forgot.
I just like to have it just in case we need it. I feel like we normally don't even reference it because we have notes and we remember and all of that.
Unless it's like a specific page, like Pachinko with the first page.
Yes, like there is stuff that's occasionally specific that we need. But my hold expired, and so I was like, oh, I'll just put another hold, so then by the time we record, I'll have it back. And then it was like, great, we'll see you in 3 business months with your copy of The Four Winds. So I gave up.
To give our usual disclaimer, our judgments come based on the book and characters within the book rather than any real historical figures they may have based on. Also, spoilers.
Yes. And we love Martinelli apple juice.
Yes, we do. Please sponsor us.
Yes.
Okay, so can I first talk about my experience as an audiobook listener for this?
Yes, because it's funny.
So I love audiobooks, and this was a truly enjoyable experience, I would say. The narrator was actually the same one who narrated The Great Alone as well.
Oh, great.
Which I enjoyed her narrations, except for the fact that Martinellis are an Italian family.
As you maybe can tell because their name is Martinelli.
The audiobook narrator went so in on the Italian accents. The first time I heard it, I started laughing. I was in the middle of the train station. I started laughing. And I was like, oh, I hope these characters are only like in this chapter because I can't do this the whole book. And then they're in most of the book.
Wait, okay. This is a question I didn't ask before, but I should have. The main character is Elsa, and she is not Italian, but she marries into this Italian family, and she and her husband have 2 children. Did the children have Italian accents?
No. It's just Tony and Rose.
Yes.
Yes. It's
who I love.
Just them, which I love them too. It's just them, but they are in a large part of the book.
Yeah.
And it is truly like an experience.
Oh my gosh.
To listen to.
There was, not to skip ahead too far, but like, we do spoilers for these, so you've been warned.
Yeah.
There is a part where they're like, okay, we've decided like we're all going to leave Texas and we're going to go to California. And they go to get in the car, and then the Martinellis, Tony and Rose, are like, you are going with the children and we're going to stay here. Like, this is our land and we're not going with you. So you must have been like, finally, like, I don't have to hear them anymore.
I was pretty excited. It sucks because I do like them as characters. I was just laughing. But then I thought the audiobook was really great because it really honed in on just how repetitive life was on the farm in Texas. They keep thinking things are going to get a little better, and then they don't, and then they get worse, which is a theme throughout all of Kristin Hannah's books, by the way.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was truly an experience. I will say there's some books I've listened to that I've overwhelmingly enjoyed as an audiobook. One example is Daisy Jones and the Six. I thought that was an incredible experience. This one, I probably could have done just reading it. And it would have been okay. But the Italian accents, I did enjoy that.
They give us a funny memory to talk about.
It does. Every time. I remember texting you as soon as I heard it. I was like, holy shit, I can't do this.
Okay. Well, let me go into I did have a teeny bit of prior history with this book. So let me share that just to tell you the frame of mind that I was in. So a couple of my friends who don't live around here and I have a little Zoom book club.
You have other friends?
Well.
I'm learning this now for the first time.
So we have a little Zoom book club, and it's not a thing where we like all read the same book. We just like hop on a chat every so often and we talk about what we've been reading. And it's really nice because then I get to hear what other people are reading and, you know, like blah, blah, blah. And one of my friends, Jen, not to be too confusing.
Famous pod listener, Jen. Famous commenter on social media, Jen.
Jen is a top pod listener because she comments on our Instagram posts.
I love it.
Which we appreciate. And she said once, she was like, I feel like whenever I comment on your Insta post that I'm like your grandma, but I keep doing it anyway.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah. She read The Four Winds. And she was describing it to us basically as the catalyst for the main plot is that the main character is ugly. And that is not untrue. So going into this, I was just like, okay, this is the book about the girl that's really ugly.
So her name is Elsa. Her full name is Elsinore.
Crazy.
Which was insane to me when I heard that for the first. Some of the names in this book are a little.
Well, hey, it's the 20s and it's Texas. Everything's bigger there.
But so she's really ugly. Like, her parents are terrible to her, can't get a man. And then she sleeps with Rafe one time.
Yes, because she has some kind of heart condition, which frankly, for most of the book, I thought it was made up. I thought her parents were lying to her because they didn't like her. And it was their excuse to like keep her in her room.
Did she have scarlet fever? She had some sort of sickness.
It was something like that. I think it was scarlet fever. But later, it does come back. So you're like, she does have a heart condition. Basically, she's like, I'm going to be miserable and alone forever.
This is when it starts in the 20s.
Yes. It's not even a comfort for me to be with my family because my family is mean to me. So basically, she's out one night and Rafe Martinelli essentially just like propositions her.
Yeah.
And she, good for her, is like, this is my only chance to have sex, basically.
And it was like the most disappointing 15 seconds of her life.
Yeah.
She was like, that was it?
Well, listen, the actual sex might not have been that good for her, but she was still like, it was worth it and I'd do it again because she got kissed and told that she was beautiful.
Yeah.
And she's like, all of that is worth so much to me. Except she gets knocked up.
And then her parents make her marry Rafe because he's an Italian and it's like super anti-Italian America time.
Yeah. Well, also then they're basically just like, slut, I'm going to throw you out on the street.
Yeah.
She goes back later when she's married with her baby and she's like, I want you to meet your granddaughter. And they're like, her skin's a little dark, and slam the door.
Yeah. Her parents are awful and luckily they're not in a lot of the book.
No. And she has 2 sisters and I don't think they even speak. So luckily we get rid of them really quick.
And then we do jump ahead, and as we know, my thoughts on time jumps, I actually liked this because it just kind of sped it up. We get the background context of how Elsa ended up married to this man who doesn't really care about her and ends up working on this farm.
Yes.
So I like that we get that context.
I had 50-50 thoughts on the time jumps. Honestly, we should just make this a segment that we do weekly because we always bring it up first. I thought that they were well placed. I liked where the time jumps went.
Yeah.
I think that it was kind of like Pachinko where there were several time jumps and they weren't, or not several, there were some time jumps, but they weren't at regular intervals. It was just like, this is how many years we need to move forward to progress the story.
Yeah. And I thought it worked well here. It skipped over the bits we didn't need.
Yeah. And I think it worked well. I think there was a little bit less elegance in the execution. I feel like in Pachinko, it flowed really seamlessly.
Yeah, I would agree.
In this case, there was a little bit of, so over the last 10 years, this happened. And now anyway, so like, I feel like there was a little bit of clunkiness there. But like I said, I think the placement of the time skips was really good and really crucial.
And I think they have really helped characterize Elsinore and like show her growth throughout as well. At the beginning, I have a note on this that all she did was sit and read, and we should have gotten her on the pod.
Yes. She would love to be on the pod.
Rip Elsinore, you would have loved the pod.
Yeah. Honestly, my favorite thing about the time skip is in the beginning, basically her parents drive her up to the Martinelli farm, and they're like, here you go. Your son knocked up our daughter. They need to get married. That's that. And Rafe's parents come out, and they're just about to send him off to college.
Yeah, he was literally leaving for college that day.
Yeah, they clearly have such high hopes for him as like Italian immigrants. They're like, our son is going to go to college. Our son is going to be American. Our son is going to see New York. You can see that crushing disappointment specifically on the mother's face. And she does not like Elsa at all right away because of that. And you really can't blame her. The narrative doesn't want you to.
No. And
then you see Elsa as like, I'm going to make this work. Like, I'm going to have my like, this is going to be my husband and this is going to be my family. That's what it is.
And Tony and Rose, his parents, they really come to see her as a daughter.
Well, that's the thing. You skip forward and you can see, because it's just the turn of a page, in your head just a moment ago, there was all this animosity between Elsa and Rose. And then you turn the page and you see that she has tried to cultivate all of these relationships. And her relationship with Rafe has been completely a failure. But she has family in Tony and Rose that she has never had before. So that is really the value of what being a Martinelli brings to Elsa.
So speaking of relationships in this family, should we talk about the daughter, Loretta?
Yes. So real quick, there's 2 children. The younger boy is not important.
I don't even remember what his name is.
Ant?
Yeah, she's a little boy, and since it's the same...
Anthony.
It's the same voice actress or the same book narrator as The Great Alone, and when one of the characters has a son in that one, it's the same child voice. She's like, I have one and I'll use it. No, so he's there. We're not going to talk about him because he doesn't really do anything he's a kid. He like has to deal with trauma. He has asthma, which is eventually why they leave Texas.
That's an important part of the plot. Yeah, the aunt has asthma, and it's like, great going, aunt. You just killed your whole family.
Yeah, he can't stay in the dust storms.
But the other significant character, who is the only other person that we get POV from, is Elsa's daughter, Loretta.
Who's the oldest, who is the one she got pregnant with.
Yes. And when we flash forward, she's 12, 13.
And, God, she is such a 12, 13-year-old.
Really?
I have such a love-hate relationship with her.
She is problematic kind of in the way that Lakshmi's sister in The Henna Artist was problematic.
Yes, they were very similar. They're teenage girls. She's in a really bad situation on a farm she doesn't want to be on. All of her friends are leaving. She has a fuck-ass Bob.
Loretta was better, I will say. Because we hated that girl whose name I don't remember from The Henna Artist. Radha. We hated her. Loretta is annoying, but she is better.
She had a lot of character growth.
And I
think she displayed some really complicated emotions and conveyed it very well to the reader. Mm-hmm. Because basically, her and Rafe are really close.
Mm-hmm. She's a daddy's girl.
Yes. And Rafe is going down he's going into alcoholism. He doesn't want to be with the family anymore. He eventually abandons them and runs off. And Loretta idolizes him and is really blaming her mother for all of this. And you just see her crumble when her idol leaves and she starts to realize he wasn't the guy she put on a pedestal.
And she comes out of denial.
Yes. And it takes her a while. This is not an immediate thing, of course, but it's such an accurate depiction of grief as being more than just when someone dies. And I think so much of this book is about the emotion of grief, but beyond death. Mm-hmm. And Loretta really, really touched me a lot.
I mean, I really thought when you read the book, it's towards the beginning that Rafe abandons his family and runs away. Mm-hmm. And I thought that at some point he would come back into the narrative. Either he would go back to Texas, they would see him in California.
I definitely thought so.
They would hear that he died, something like that. But he never comes back and you never hear a trace of him again.
And so I think glad.
Yeah.
Because he's shitty, so I'm glad for that. But I also think it's more realistic this way.
It's more realistic this way. And he's less of a character in and of himself and more what is important about Rafe is how it affects Loretta.
Yes.
And that is, I think, she has the whole rest of the book, Kristin Hannah does, to elaborate on these complex emotions that to somewhat Elsa is feeling, but mostly in Loretta. And I think it's really well done.
Yes, and how it impacts their relationship and eventually strengthens it, but it gets a lot worse before it gets better.
Yes. I mean, it's very much Loretta's like, you drove our father away. You don't understand what he needs. Basically, Loretta's like, we're alike and we're allied against Mom. It's very much, I texted you this, that quote that's the father and the daughter laugh at the mother together. This does not save the daughter from the mother's fate.
Yep.
It's that.
It is that.
Mm-hmm.
Elsa was maybe one of my favorite characters we've read about in so long because she doesn't give up. She just keeps trying to love the people who are trying to push her away. And you have a quote that I'm going to steal from your section of the script, but
that's fine, go ahead.
Elsa had discovered within herself a nearly bottomless capacity for love, and that just describes her character so well.
It was such a beautiful quote that I don't often really write down quotes from these. Like, that's not the thing that I think is important all of the time. But that I just stopped and it was so heartwarming. And there were a lot of those moments in this book, even though, like we said, the theme of it is like, it was really bad and then it got worse. Like,
that's every single Kristin Hannah book.
It's just a miracle for me in Elsa's life that she has this family who none of them love her. She marries a man who she slept with twice who also doesn't love her. And she has this daughter who is just so combative with her all of the time. But she loves her daughter and she loves her son and she loves her children's adoptive grandparents. She continuously finds joy in loving others. And that is constant throughout the whole book, even when they're living in this, like, abject misery.
And she just has so much strength and momentum as a character that really, you can see it develop along the way, and I think it's executed so perfectly. So let's get into a bit more of the plot so we can see that character growth.
Yes.
So they're in Texas, Rafe is gone, the land is dying, there's dust everywhere, and there's a lot of, it's a bit repetitive, the scenes of, like, trying to farm and there nothing being there. But for me,
I did denote that. I was like, I think they spend a little too much time in the house at the Dust Bowl.
I thought it worked because I thought it was I thought it worked in the historical accuracy category.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I think some of it could have been cut, but it was whatever.
It worked in the historical accuracy for me because it's like, it was the same fucking thing every day, trying to get something and then it being more dust.
Mm-hmm.
So that really worked for me. But eventually, yeah, Aunt has asthma, so they need to leave. As we already said, Rose and Tony said they're going to go. They don't go. They just stay behind.
Mm-hmm. And they get to California really quick.
Yeah, like that. The journey itself was like hyped up to be really bad and dangerous. Loretta, I think, pulled a gun on someone at some point.
Yeah. No, that was when they already got to California. I think.
It was very quick.
They don't spend a lot of time in the car, which is also fine. It's just like in comparison, these two things like don't seem like they are in proportion.
It was very fast. So we won't spend much time either. So they get to California. They're already discriminated against. Basically, every migrant is called an Okie, which is like a slur for
people who come from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they keep being like, we're from Texas, but they're like, no one cares.
And so they can't rent from anyone, so they have to live in what is referred to as a Hooverville, like Hooverdown.
Mm-hmm. Like squatting camps.
Squatting camps in like ditch.
Yeah, they live, like, they set up like a little tent out of their car. They pull water from the river, which is really just like waste runoff. It's clearly a bad situation.
But so they're trying to get like menial farm work for like cents a day. Eventually, Loretta stops going to school a lot. Elsa's really trying to force her to stay in. And they compromise. She'll go like sometimes, but not others. And then she'll work the rest. So you see Loretta start to step up and take a lot of responsibility as well.
And then she kind of goes on a political awakening journey. And she becomes a communist, essentially.
Yes.
Which is, frankly, of all the people, these people have the best possible excuse to become communists.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a character who shows up at this time who is, like, the communist organizer. Jack.
Whose mother died in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, by the way.
I don't think she literally died in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire.
It was a factory fire. It was a fabric factory fire.
It was a shirtwaist factory fire. So it could have been a different one.
I have to assume it was of the fame.
But he is like the organizer for all of this communist activity. The point that he keeps reiterating over and over when they're denied things like welfare or being able to rent or like all of this is like, these are Americans. Like, these people are Americans. And obviously they're in California. There's a part where someone is like first we had to get rid of the Indians, and then we had to get rid of the Mexicans, and now we have to get rid of the Okies. And you're like, oh my God. But
it gets a little...
Well, that's like not a good person who's saying that. Obviously, it's just like a complicated area. But he's like, these are American citizens, and they're not being given the rights of American citizens because they're poor because of the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, something that's literally not their fault.
Yeah, there was one lady who's like a side character that you see very briefly who's like, oh yeah, we came here from North Carolina. And it's like, lady, you should have stayed home.
Yeah, it's like, why are you in California?
Do not have the Dust Bowl. Yeah. But it's, again, just like everyone heard like there are jobs in California. And like, yeah, but you're picking cotton for like 9 cents a day or whatever. Yeah. It is not all it's cracked up to be.
No.
So I honestly think they should have given up and gone back to Texas and let Aunt die. But that's just me.
Sacrifice the child.
Or also, like, they were gone for like 6 months or something like that. They could have been like, this is as healthy as you're getting. We're going to go home. Because I think they had like something where the doctor was like, keep him out for a year.
Yeah. It was a complicated situation. But eventually Elsa, after much pushback, joins this communist movement, but on the labor union end of it, like trying to organize the workers.
The workers are striking.
And then at the strike, she gets shot and dies.
Because of her heart condition.
Yeah, because of her heart condition. And then we flash forward, we get the epilogue with Loretta. She's going back to Texas. She goes back to college. And she goes to college in California.
Well, and also that's the whole thing is Elsa the whole time is like, I want Loretta to be the first in the family to go to college. And people are like, oh, college? She's poor. She's going to be a farm girl.
She's
or
poor.
Like,
she's a girl. Like all of the above.
Yeah, and then so she goes to college. I will say we can get a little bit more into it later. We can work towards it chronologically. Mm-hmm. The ending of this is the part that worked for me the least. That's what knocked it down for me.
That's what I've seen in a lot of
5.
That's what I've seen in a lot of reviews. I really like the ending.
And I don't mean Elsa dying was my turning point. Because that's not my problem.
No.
I mean, like, I didn't like it. People have to die in books.
Like, I thought this book showed some of the best character development we've seen in a very long time. And I feel like I keep harping on this. But that's because it was so important to me. Mm-hmm. Loretta and Elsa, who are the two main characters, they just grow so much. And I think Loretta kind of completes the cycle of Elsa wanted to go to school, Elsa wanted to be a teacher, and she never had that opportunity, low-key, because she was ugly. Mm. It was just such a well-done like continuation for me with Loretta.
Mm-hmm. I liked the journey that she went on. This is my big problem, really.
Okay.
That the whole time, Loretta is like skipping school and running away to like go through the woods at midnight and join this communist labor movement and join this strike. And for so much of it, Elsa is not happy. She's like, we need you to work. We need to keep our heads down. This is really dangerous. You're young. We can barely survive as it is. We can't lose these jobs. Like all of that. And you're like, fair. All of it.
Yeah.
Especially because Loretta's 13. You're like, girl, anyway. So really, Elsa only gets dragged into this and becomes part of it really towards the end. It is late in the game. Mm-hmm. And when she gets shot and dies as a result of this, first of all, I think it feels she becomes like a symbol for the strike very quickly in a way that doesn't read true to me. It's like it's kind of main character syndrome.
I disagree with you there. I think it worked for me.
Okay. Then that might be a me thing. But also, it didn't work for me. And honestly, this isn't even a problem with Loretta as a character. I think this is a missed opportunity on Kristin Hannah's part. They have this little scene at the end where Loretta visits her grave, Elsa's grave, and says, Mom, I'm going to college like you always wanted me to. And like that's the ending. Mm-hmm. And she never expresses guilt for like basically getting her mom killed. And I'm not even saying that she literally did do it, that it is her fault, because like it's not. But basically, your mom was only there and in this labor movement because of you. So I feel like it's an interesting character opportunity to explore the guilt.
I agree. However, I think where it was in the book right at the end, there wasn't time on the page.
Mm-hmm. From Elsa dying, Loretta's like 13, and then it skips ahead to that moment at 18.
Yeah, and they like take her body back to Texas, and that's kind of all we know. I also disagree with you because from my reading of it, I got the sense that Elsa eventually did join the strike because she believed in it.
That is true. Like I said, I don't think Loretta literally should feel guilty, but I think if...
You thought it could have been a pathway.
Well, I think if that was me and someone... Like, clearly, if Loretta had not joined that communist movement, Elsa never would have.
Yeah.
So I think it's a connect the dots thing. And I think it just would have been an interesting character motivation to explore. And it seemed crazy to me that Loretta never had any inkling of this could be me, especially because she had so many thoughts when she was having her issues with her dad about, like, what did I do to drive him away?
For me, that kind of worked as a sense of character growth because the selfishness kind of faded. So it became less about what did I do.
Well, see, I'm not even seeing it as like a selfishness thing. I'm thinking about your impact on others. Like, it's almost the opposite.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I didn't read her character like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, I get that's true. And I know here I'm going out on a limb being like, this entire element should be present that is just like that I'm completely dreaming up. But I think it weakened the book for me towards the end there already, because when Elsa got involved in the strike movement, that pushed it a bit for me.
Okay, that's fair.
So I was like a little on shaky ground. So those are the things that dropped it down for me. Those are my two biggest
That's
things.
fair. I also think that although Loretta did get a POV, I still don't think she was the main character.
No,
I don't think she needed, for me to feel satisfaction with her character, I don't think she needed that emotional deep dive at the end.
Okay.
So I think that's more of it. Like, I thought it more of a sign as she had grown because she's not only thinking about her feelings and stuff. I don't know. So that's how I see it, as like her move away from selfishness. But I get what you're saying completely.
Yeah, for me, that selfishness doesn't really go away, which is a whole separate issue. But I think it's there until the end, honestly, in my opinion.
This book went fast for me.
It flew by. Kristin Hannah really keeps the pages turning, which I think is so important in a book.
That's a great skill.
Yes. And I couldn't even tell you what it is, because a lot of times, like, a book will have short chapters and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm really flipping the pages. I feel like that's not even really what this is. It's something about the prose.
Yeah,
it really
I really
keeps you
liked
going.
it. I really liked the characters, even the characters I didn't like, even when Loretta was pissing me off. I still enjoyed reading about it.
I think I would probably say the same thing about Kristin Hannah's writing that I would say about Madeline Miller, which is this is like a good book that you could just hand to like a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It's not overly complicated. It's not overly simplistic. It deals with emotions. It deals with, like, there are a lot of good literary things in here. It's not a quick read. It's a fast-paced read, which are two different things.
Yes.
So I think this is a good book to just give to people. I can see why Kristin Hannah does so well on Goodreads.
Yes,
like in the Goodreads Choice Awards. Like, you can definitely see it.
This is I think all of her books are good for broad audiences.
Which is why they're being made into all these Netflix shows.
Yes. I am going to make a comparison real fast since we're talking about Loretta. For those of you who have read The Great Alone and you know the character Lenny, she is so much the exact opposite of Lenny, because Lenny is like this 13-year-old and she's so responsible and like she takes ownership for all this stuff and she like takes all of this on, and then Loretta is just the exact opposite. So it's a really funny comparison to make. But Lenny is also the main character of that book. So
okay. Yeah, it's like we said how this book is like 2/3 California, 1/3 Texas.
Yeah. This
book is like 2/3 Elsa, 1/3 Loretta.
Yes. And I thought that was a good balance. I didn't want more Loretta. I didn't want less Elsa.
Exactly. Well, because also Elsa is just the better character to be with because Loretta is annoying for so much of it.
She's like a young teen. Like,
yeah. I mean, again, the way that she's annoying makes complete sense, and it's not gratuitous.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not holding that against her.
But it's just more fun to be in Elsa's head.
Yeah. Anything else you want to cover before we get into the historical accuracy?
No, I'm happy to hear what you have to tell me about the history.
I am happy to report because the Great Depression was one of those. This is going to sound weird. In school when you get like really into learning about one particular history thing?
Yes.
I really liked the Great Depression.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually know much about the Dust Bowl. So it was kind of fun. I had heard all the city stuff and families in the city, that sort of thing, not out in the Dust Bowl.
Before you start, can I share a little factoid adjacent to the Dust Bowl? So the way that you were a reader of like The Click growing up, my thing was Dear America.
Did you read a lot of the Dust Bowl ones? I never read those ones.
Well, here's what I have to say about that. For those of you familiar, Dear America is a series of quote-unquote diaries, like all fiction, of girls between the ages of like 10 and 14 set during big historical events. All of the characters are fiction, like, but you're just set like against the backdrop of the Dust Bowl and like blah, blah, blah. And one of them is set in the Dust Bowl, like very near here, actually, like in Texas. And that singular Dear America book was written by a little girl who won a contest.
Really?
Scholastic ran a contest, and they said, enter, and we will publish your book as one of the Dear America books. All of the other ones are written by adults. And the Dust Bowl one is written by a little girl who won a contest.
That's crazy. When we do our children's book season, we have to do that one.
I know. We should send her an email and be like, hello, Catalan. Would you like to be on our podcast?
Hello, Catalan, who is probably our age now.
Yeah. No, she's probably like, I don't know, maybe 35.
Oh my God. That's really, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, well.
That's my fun fact.
That tidbit.
Please tell me things that are important in the grand scheme of the world. That's my little fun fact.
So, the Dust Bowl was a combo of extreme drought and poor farming practices, which is kind of touched on when, like, the government officials come and be like, hey, you need to not plant and you need to do this, and everyone got really mad.
I really enjoyed that part of it where they were like, hey, because we live in 1920, we don't know everything about farming and we accidentally created the Dust Bowl. And then the farmers were like, how dare you say this is our fault? We've been working this land for hundreds of years, like all of that. So that was, I think, really well handled, that kind of push-pull between what's correct versus, like, telling people what's right because it's not what they feel.
Like, basic PR stuff. It's like how you present this information is really important, and they did a bad job, and I think in real life they did a bad job too. Yeah. But we'll get into that in a minute. So some of the features of the Dust Bowl were black blizzards with zero visibility, which is something we saw in the book, which kind of kicked up ants' asthma. Also caused eroded farmlands, destroyed homes, and massive health issues.
Breathing the dust is
breathing
bad
dust
for you.
is not good. And also just getting into accidents when you can't see, like, It's really bad. So thousands of Texans headed to California. So there were jobs picking cotton, fruit, as agriculture was less impacted there in California. At most, they were making like 98 cents a day. So accounting for inflation, I don't know what that is today.
But still bad.
But it's very much not good. Elsa was making a lot less than this. She was making like 40 cents at times. So jobs were more available after the forced deportation of Mexican workers. However, that doesn't mean everyone could get a job. It was still very difficult. Many migrants lived across irrigation ditches in tents with terrible sanitation health issues.
And that's what we saw. They lived in along an irrigation ditch.
Oh, Elsa had to help her friend give birth in these conditions. It was horrible.
Ugh. Yeah, the friend died, and it was very sad.
Yeah. Children as young as 7 or 8 were in the fields working. Those who were in school were bullied by peers and teachers for being dirty. They were often called maggot instead of migrant.
Aww.
Or Okies. There was common hatred for Okies, and everyone was grouped in as Oklahoma. I don't really know why Oklahoma was like the chosen one. Maybe they got there first.
Who knows?
As we see in the book, they go to get relief, and they're told they have to have a year waiting period.
Yeah, they're like, you have to be a California resident for a year.
Yeah, and the relief workers were really terrible, and the government support was very bad. But eventually, that waiting period for relief was extended to 3 years. So it got worse after the events in this book, because this timeline was correct. It got worse after.
That's very bad.
So many Okies did cross picket lines with the labor strikes because, I mean, understandably, you need a job.
Yeah.
Like, you need something. So while the strike in the novel is fictional, it is based on a California strike in the 1930s. So these labor movements were really popping up. This was also before the heat of the Red Scare, so you did see a bit more common communism activity. But
yeah, I mean, this is their time.
I do have a quote from the author here.
Ooh, okay.
So,
I won't look at it.
in writing this story, I tried to present the history as truthfully as possible. The strike that takes place in the novel is fictional, but is based on a strike that took place in California in the 30s. The town of Welty is fictional as well. Primarily where I diverged from the historical record was in the timeline of events. There are instances in which I choose to manipulate dates to better fit my fictional narrative. I apologize in advance to historians and scholars of the era. I do like that she kind of owns that.
Yeah, and also, I don't mind.
No, it's things that aren't super important in the scheme of things.
Like, going back to our very first episode, Hamnet wouldn't have caught the plague probably in real life because there was no plague in Stratford-upon-Avon in that year.
Yes.
But we don't care.
No, it still works. It's
that's
fine.
Not the point. Yeah. So some minor manipulation like that is okay in my book.
I agree. It's not something that's really gonna ruin a good book for me.
Yeah. And again, this was seeing that these characters in the experience. Like, I had no doubt reading the book that all of the stuff that she was telling me was true.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of it is not too deep into the specifics, really. Except for those things like, you know, you have to be a California resident for a year. Like, blah,
yeah,
blah,
like,
blah.
I'm glad all that was accurate.
It's really, that's not the point. The point is seeing how the characters adapt to those struggles. To those, like, artificial roadblocks placed in their way.
I I think it's time for our star calculator.
I think it's time for our star calculator.
Of course, made by data scientist Ashley, whom we love and adore. Hopefully bringing her back for another bonus episode at some point. Bonus episode or special
Regular.
guest? We'll see.
It's a bonus to have Ashley here with us.
Exactly.
We had so much fun recording that, and we hope you all had so much fun listening to it.
We rate out of the categories of historical accuracy, vibes, prose, originality, and characters. I can get us started if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I have straight vibes down the line. For me, the one I just want to discuss because I kind of went over everything for myself already. Historical accuracy, I'm still giving it a 5. Nothing that was altered was an issue for me. So I'm just going to put it like that. The rest of it I thought was enough detail without being too much detail. So that's a score of 5.
Just 5.
Which I rated it on Storygraph a 5, which means it's a 5.
Dang. Another 5 for Erin.
I am hard in the camp of 5 or flop this season.
Oh,
so.
No fines.
No
book is fine.
Very few fines.
And I honestly also have an across-the-board score, but it's 4.
Nice.
Historical accuracy, 4. I'm back on my 4 game, but you know how I do on that. I don't need to talk about it anymore. Vibes 4, prose 4, originality 4. I waffled a bit on this one, but I was just like, what's the structuring or the characters or the like, what's in this to kick it up to a 5? And I think it doesn't quite get there.
Okay.
Characters 4. Sorry, Loretta. I deduct a point for you being annoying.
Okay, that's fair.
So sorry. And that gives it a total of 4, which is actually a little lower than I thought it would be. I gave it a 4.5 on Storygraph.
Okay. Maybe just talking through it.
Maybe. I think, honestly, having a little distance from it, it's not, I wouldn't give it a 5. I wouldn't quite go there. Yeah. I still really like this book, but it's not like I'm sitting up at night thinking about it kind of book. So I would absolutely recommend it 100%. And I'm not going to go back and edit my Storygraph rating. Mm-hmm. I gave it a 4.5 and I think it deserves the 4.5. I think it maybe, the 0.5 I think just comes from that je ne sais quoi kind of category that we can't
finishing, yeah.
That we can't. Well, that's just something that you can't really record in the star calculator.
I put very little thought into my Storygraph ratings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a heat of the moment thing.
Yeah, even this little vibes category, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
Exactly.
It's not the same. But yeah, so fine, leaning 5 for me, 5 for Erin.
I'm glad we have another high score this week, and we're kind of back on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to be on the same wavelength next week. And as we are reading Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, we might be having a special guest next week. So Stay tuned.
We'll give you a little hint. It's not Ashley. We're not going to lead you on that way. But we are very excited to have a guest in the studio.
If she can make it work with her work schedule.
I believe it. I think we can make it happen.
But until then, make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at @5orflop_pod. And make sure you're participating in our Storygraph Reading Challenge for Season 2.
And if you go to the bio of any of our social medias, you can find a link there to fill out our recommendation form if there are any books that you think we should read. And I'm so sorry. Please don't put The Nightingale. You've gotten what you'll get from us about that.
However, you should read The Nightingale, and Grace should read The Nightingale.
And, of course, if you have any other general queries, you can email us at fiberfloppodcast@gmail.com.